pros and cons of using standardized testing for college admittance. My purpose today is to inform you of the arguments for and against abolishing or not abolishing the SAT and ACT. I've done extensive research on both the pros and cons, as well as the tests in general. Although you might have your own opinions of the SAT and ACT, after this speech you'll have even more information to base your arguments on. First, I'll discuss the arguments for the use of the SAT and ACT, then I will follow with the arguments against them, and finally I will recap everything that we learned. With our roadmap in place, let's begin with the two arguments for the use of the SAT and ACT. Some argue that the ACT and SAT should continue to be used in college admittance procedures, and two good reasons are as follows. First, a student's score on these tests could help in the prediction of first-year college performance and competition for admittance. A report by the College Board in 2019 on the validity of standardized testing and its correlation between test scores and GPA states students who tested high on the SAT had the highest average GPA over their lower scored counterparts. The second reasoning is the SAT and ACT have the ability to help underprivileged students. With these exams being offered in high school for free more often, it gives more students the ability to take the exams. According to the research done by Brookings Institute in 2018, underprivileged students did not choose not to go to college. They simply did not have the resources to get to or pay for the admittance tests on time. Although both arguments are great contributors for the use of the SAT and ACT, there are strong arguments against them as well. Today we will discuss two arguments against the use of the SAT and ACT for college admittance. The first argument, backed by consistent research, shows that both tests or the education leading up to them is racially biased. Experts Nicholas P. Triplett and James E. Ford, through the Center of Racial Equity in Education, wrote a peer-reviewed report in 2019 showing consistent data that other than Asians, all other ethnicities scored far lower than their white counterparts. Other than giftedness, race is the most accurate predictor of SAT scores. The second argument against these tests is that they are discriminatory towards non-English speakers and those with special needs. The SAT and ACT websites both show that they are only offered in English with no additional accommodations. This means that as someone who speaks English for a second language, they take the same test as someone who fully understands English. This also means that anyone with a learning disability, regardless of federal ADA protected accommodations, cannot get any test accommodations and take the same tests in the same time as everyone else. Now that we discussed both sides, let's recap what we've learned. First, we discussed some of the arguments for the use of the SAT and ACT. The SAT and ACT scores can place students into brackets of first-year success or retention while providing a healthy dose of scholarly competition. They also help underprivileged students who may not have the best GPA if provided by a school for the ease of access and resources for them. Then we discussed the arguments for discontinuing their use. The SAT and ACT scores of people of color can be predicted solely by their ethnicity, which indicates a full bias in the education system or the test. Plus, people who do not speak English as their first language or those who have special needs cannot get accommodations or a test in their own language that might show their academic capabilities better. With the information you learned today, you can decipher the pros and cons to create a solid foundation for your own opinions and arguments.